Another video on immigration, and today we're going to talk about OPT and CPT, and especially abuses of the CPT and the consequences of abusing the availability of the curricular practical training, which is a CPT, and also the OPT, the optional practical training. First of all, what is the CPT and what is the OPT? Whenever you come to the United States to study, you come usually on what we call a student visa, which is also known as a F1 visa or F visa. And once you complete your degree, depending on, and usually if you complete 1 year, you can benefit from the OPT, which is the optional practical training program, which allows you usually to do 1 year of, you get a work permit for 1 year, basically to get practice. And one of the rules, of course, on the OPT, the first OPT, because now we have the STEM OPT, which is kind of in jeopardy right now. We don't know if it is coming back or not. But there was something called STEM, which is kind of here without being here. And that usually before was allowing people to go up to 27 months. I'm talking here about the first year of the OPT. The first year of the OPT, usually if you don't work for 90 days, you lose it. So it's very important when you have an OPT to maintain it. And one of the questions we get is, do you have to be paid? Technically, no, you don't have to be paid as long as you have a job on the first year of OPT. On the STEM CPT, I'm sorry, OPT, the STEM OPT, I repeat that, you have to be paid, but not on the OPT, regular OPT. And since the STEM OPT is not really final right now, the way it stands with this lawsuit and the court, we're going to talk about the regular OPT. The regular OPT, of course, if 90 days you don't work, you don't have any check stub, or you don't have a proof of employment, technically that OPT goes away. The other questions we get frequently on OPT is, what happens if you are traveling abroad? If you got your F1 visa through a change of status here, that means basically, for example, let's say you come in an H4 visa, you move to an F1. If you're traveling abroad, you are required to get an F1 stamp to come back. From my experience, having done this for years now, whenever you are in an OPT, it is very, very difficult actually to get what we call a stamp on the passport when you want to come back. So if you already have the stamp under the F1 and you're continuing that, you shouldn't have any problem. As long as you have a letter of employment, you should be able to come back on your OPT. Again, having said that, it depends on the school you're going to. Many people who are going to good schools don't have this issue, but even then, recently with the climate when it comes to immigration and the F1 student, because there were too many abuses, USCIS, especially the State Department, has been very picky on on giving those F1 student visas stamping at the State Department level, U.S. Embassy or U.S. Consulate. So be very careful on that if you're planning to travel. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the CPT. The CPT is basically an internship where you basically go and work for 20 hours, usually less than 20 hours, and which allows you to basically work during the time you're studying. First of all, the CPT is not a work permit per se. That means it's not a tool just to be used to get job. The CPT is an internship program. They don't issue an EAD card for it. It's usually just a paper. So be very, very careful on that. Why I'm saying you have to be careful? For one, many people have abused the CPT as a tool. From day one, they take the CPT and they ultimately end up into more problems when they want to change status. For example, we have a lot of cases where people are trying to move to H4 now with the H4 EAD, or trying to move to the H1. They are being questioned heavily on their CPT if they have abused it. And now the other problem, of course, is if you're going to those paper mill schools, it is worse for you. So if you are planning to take a CPT and it's reasonable CPT for a real internship, I highly recommend not abusing it and I highly recommend you don't take it at the outset. Now, the second thing, if you're going to a good school, like I said, a school which is accredited by, basically, it's a public school or a school which is well recognized, the chances of having problems is lower. But be ready if you have a CPT and then you are applying for your OPT. Even applying for your OPT, they will question you heavily how you use your CPT. And another thing they will ask also, how explain how this CPT is incorporated in your curriculum. Oftentimes the school will be able to explain that, but be ready for that. And many times people panic because they get those RFEs on the F1. We have dealt with many of those RFEs successfully. We are happy about that. But make sure if you're going to school, you don't just jump into it because it's giving you a quick CPT and things like that. Many schools now are under the radar because they have been kind of abusing the system. You don't want to be part of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to CPT and OPT, and you are an F1 student, be very careful which school you're picking, and if you need help or a consultation before you make a decision, feel free to call our office at 510-742-5887, 510-742-5887. And also, I will recommend that you contact your regular attorney on your case if you have one, but you can call us at 510-742-5887. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. And anything I told you today is for educational purposes only. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. Again, the number 510-742-5887. Thank you.